What's up, boys? Shane here, and today I just want to talk about my impressions of Modern Warfare just during the beta, and I'm just going to pretty much go over everything I liked, everything I didn't like, what I think they should improve, and all that stuff. If you are new here, don't forget to drop a like down below and subscribe, but we're just going to hop right into it. This video is a bit overdue, but I just sort of wanted to think about my opinions a little more and just have time to make this video. I'm going to briefly go over the 64-player mode as well, but I'm going to have a full video comparing the mode itself to Battlefield 4 and sort of talking about that. And I'm going to go much more in depth there, but I will briefly mention it in this video. So first we're just going to start off with the things that I like, and most of this stuff is going to be pretty, the stuff that's new to the game. A lot of the stuff that's just generally been in Call of Duty forever. I'm not going to mention too much, like tight gunplay, fast pace, like all that stuff's given with a Call of Duty. But yeah, so the biggest thing that I noticed with this game was how good the customization is with the weapons. Each weapon right now in the beta had around 25 to 30 attachments. I believe at launch each one's going to have 60 attachments, and they really drastically change how each weapon acts. If you have an AR and you really want to play long range, you can stack the weapon with statistics that give you really good bullet velocity, high damage at long range, but it slows down your aim down sight speed and your sprint out time. So you're just going to be a very pre-aim heavy weapon. Or you can sacrifice bullet velocity, you can sacrifice long range damage for really fast sprint out time and really fast ADS time. There's just a lot of stuff you can do with the weapons. At first I thought I wasn't going to like the trade-off system where weapons have positives and negatives, but the fact that you can stack enough attachments to sort of create like a kit that sort of puts you in like a certain play style is really nice. Like in Battlefield 4, they sort of did this where they made all the attachments have positives and negatives, and most of them all had like the same negatives. Like it would just increase your bullet spread and make it harder to hit targets. That is not a factor in any of these, and that's really nice because the bullet spread thing was a huge deal breaker for me in Battlefield 4, and it's one of the reasons why attachments aren't that useful in that game. But the way they did it in this game is really, really awesome, and I really like how they did it. And I like the weapon perks as well. Those are really cool. In addition to this, I like how they made stopping power, dead silence, and stuff like that field upgrades instead of perks. Stopping power as a perk is insanely overpowered when you just have inherently more damage than your opponents. But if you can pop it for like one magazine, maybe like 2 to 3 times a game, so you get like 3 mags of stopping power a game, it's not that bad. And when you're trading it off for something like, you could get dead silence instead, you could get extra ammo instead, you could get a recon drone, you could get a deployable shield. There's a lot of other options. Stopping power isn't that overpowered, it's just really fun to use. Whereas if it was just a perk all the time, it would be broken and super annoying to play against. Now again, this is saying this after only probably 20 to 30 hours of gameplay. I'm sure if I played after maybe like 100 to 200 hours, it'd make it a little annoying. But we'll have to wait and see. And for now, I do really enjoy that sort of aspect, and I can see the counterplay coming in. In Search and Destroy, it's going to be a lot more dead silence heavy, and stuff like that. And you can really just pick it depending on your playstyle. A lot of these, the customization in this game is just based on your playstyle, which I love. I'm not the hugest fan of Ghost going back to how it regularly was while we're on the perk part of the game, how it used to be. I think you should have to be moving for Ghost to work. I don't really like the fact that Ghost is just constantly enabled, even if you're sitting in corners. It creates a lot more of a campy game, and that's something that I'll talk more about in the negatives. This game is campy, and it's not necessarily because of the player base. It's just sort of the way the developers sort of push this game into that direction, so I'll talk about that. But yeah, Ghost should definitely have to require people to be moving around, and you shouldn't just be able to sit in a corner and not show up on any UAVs. Now, I do like the minimap in its current state. I honestly don't mind the fact that you can't see red dots. Would I prefer it? Yeah, I don't really care. But I do get what they're going for. A little more realistic, a little more map awareness instead of just constantly chasing after the red dots, not worrying about your positioning. Now, that being said, there are red dots on the compass anyway, so you can kind of figure out what direction people are in. So that is a benefit, but at the same time, I'm not really sure why, if they include red dots on the compass and there's a regular map, why they can't just include the red dots on the minimap and just get rid of the compass except for the 64-player mode. Like, I understand why they included the compass in the first place. It's pretty much entirely for the ground war mode, because it's really useful if you're in a squad to call out there's a guy, 100 meters out in this direction. On the 6v6 mode, everyone's like within 10 meters of each other. The callouts have to be a lot more specific as to like where exactly this person is, because there's so many places they could be. So the compass isn't really useful, except I just use it to see where the red dots are sometimes. Now I'm just gonna move on to the streaks. I think the streaks are amazing. Juggernaut is super fun. Chopper Gunner is amazing. The gunship I think the gunship needs some sort of a buff. The Chopper Gunner is just way better than it, in my opinion, at this point. But who knows? Maybe once people get better at shooting down the chopper, the gunship's a lot harder to shoot down, so it may be more useful in the long run. But on the maps we played, at least, there was a ton of cover, and it was just really hard to get any useful kills out of the gunship whenever I was using it. White Phosphorus is a little annoying to play against. I didn't run into it too much, so I'm not going to give much more of an opinion than that. But yeah, it was definitely a little annoying to play against. And I also believe that pretty much everything that's in the game was shown to us. It was just locked. I really do hope there are some more weapons than what we had, but I don't really care. It was a pretty decent amount of weapons, definitely more than Black Ops 4, which was nice. But yeah, there seemed to be about maybe 7 ARs, 6 submachine guns, like 4 or 5 like tactical rifles, like 3 or 4 snipers, and like 2 or 3 LMGs, and then some shotguns. Obviously, shotguns are pretty fun to use, actually. Yeah, they're actually very fun to use. And then some marksman's rifles, yeah, stuff like that. There seemed to be a decent choice of weapons, but it'd be nice if there were even more than what they showed. And yeah, I really enjoyed Headquarters. I think that could be a very good competitive mode. The fact that crossplays in the game is absolutely amazing. I played with some of my Xbox friends on PS4. Super smooth, super fun. Gunfight is amazing. I really wish the normal gunfight was in there the whole time. I don't know why. I just had so much fun just chilling and playing gunfight. Like, it's not too serious, but at the same time it's competitive. It's kind of like a weird middle ground that's just really fun. You don't really have to think about like people camping too much. It's just like run up to a head glitch, take the gunfight, finesse around, clutch some 1v2s here and there. It's super fun, in my opinion. It's just a really fun mode. And I hope at launch they have a ranked mode for gunfight. I know they can't really have a ranked mode for normal competitive right off the rip because they have to make a competitive rule set and all that stuff. But gunfight's pretty simple. If they could just have a gunfight ranked playlist, that would be super, super fun to rank up in from launch. And I think it'd be a really smart move for them to just get people into competitive right off the gate. And yeah, spawns, I'm going to switch to the negatives now. Spawns, not the best whatsoever. I know Infinity Ward spawns are a bit different anyway. In a mode like Headquarters and Hardpoint, for example, instead of spawning on opposite sides of the map, like one team's close to the hill, one team's far from the hill, you will kind of both spawn in like the same same side of the map. So let's split the map into 4 corners, and let's just say like left corner, top left, bottom left, top right, bottom right. You'll both spawn on the right side of the map, one in the top right, one in the bottom right, instead of, say, top right and bottom left, if that makes sense. Like, with Infinity Ward spawns, you usually spawn a lot of the time on the same side of the map, but just different corners of that side, which is a bit different than Treyarch, which is usually pretty heavily anchored to opposite sides of the map. The issues this creates is when the game's coded to spawn people close to each other, you can sometimes spawn literally right on top of someone or right next to them. Like, it makes it very annoying. Sometimes I spawned with like 3 people next to me, or like I'd be the only one on my team to spawn with them, and it was just kind of weird. Those are obviously bugs that I hope they iron out. In addition to this, the netcode in the game isn't great. Like, your bullet reg is really good, but there is a discrepancy between time to kill and time to death, and Battle Nonsense went through this a ton. The server lag on this game is not very good at all. It's even worse than Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4, in my opinion, had issues in the 20 Hz servers, but in the 60 Hz servers, it was pretty good. So if this game has 20 Hz custom games again for competitive, or just, for playing around with people, I feel like it's going to be really, really bad. So hopefully they either just fix their servers a little bit. It was a beta. or they just give us 60 hertz custom games instead of having it like 20 hertz, like it's 2011 again. Now next, with the negatives, the ground war mode. Again, it's kind of like a watered down version of Battlefield in my opinion. But that was my initial impression. After playing it a little bit more, it definitely is, it has its place. Like, it's definitely a pretty fun mode. And I kind of compare it to the Alcatraz Blackout mode. It's like Call of Duty's version of Battlefield, if that makes sense. Super fast-paced, super hectic, like Alcatraz was for Battle Royale. Alcatraz is what Blackout should have been. It's Call of Duty's Battle Royale. It's not trying to copy PUBG. It's not trying to copy Battlefield. It is fast-paced, action, 24/7, and just super go, 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 like that. And that is what Ground War was. There was a very minimal respawn delay. Weapons killed very fast. You could heal very fast. There were kill streaks. There was constantly spawning on teammates, which that needs to be fixed. If your teammate's in a gunfight, you shouldn't be able to spawn on him for your sake and for the opponent your teammate's playing against. Because sometimes I'd be in a gunfight and there'd just be two guys. Like, sometimes it would say that you couldn't spawn on him, but sometimes he'd literally be in a gunfight and it would let you spawn on him. So I guess that's more of a bug than a gameplay gripe. But overall, I somewhat started to enjoy it. I definitely still prefer Battlefield 4. Like, when I'm playing a big game mode, I like Battlefield. But this sort of was Call of Duty's attempt at it, and it is fun. It is like Call of Duty's big player mode. It's not meant to be Battlefield, and it's not going to be like Battlefield. So me comparing it to Battlefield 4, which is like my favorite game of all time, is probably a little unfair to Call of Duty. So I started to just look at it as, is this fun? Is this not? And it ended up being pretty fun. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, though. There's not too much else to talk about with this. I overall really enjoyed the beta, and I'm really looking forward to this game. I will briefly talk about the Spec Ops survival mode being PS4 only. I think it is a good thing. Now, hear me out. The only reason I think it's a good thing is because it was either this or no crossplay, no multiplayer, like no exclusivity. Like, all the multiplayer maps are coming to all the platforms at the same time. There's crossplay. DLC's free. If players have to hold out on one mode in Spec Ops for a year, I think that's a fair trade-off. They signed a 3-year contract with Sony. They have to honor the contract. Sony has to get some sort of exclusivity. This is sort of the best. This is the best outcome in a situation with not very many good outcomes. So I definitely will take it. I definitely think again that Infinity Ward worked really hard to get this for the players, and if that's the one trade-off they had to do, I'm okay with it. Again, this is coming from a PS4 player, but I'm probably not even going to play that survival mode anyway, so that goes to show that I don't really think we're going to be missing out on much for you PC and Xbox players. That's about it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Leave down below your impressions of this game. Rate it 1 to 10. Tell me. I'm probably going to leave my rating as the pinned comment down below, if I remember. I'll probably just say it. It's about like an 8.5 out of 10. Sort of like my vision for what the full game's going to be. I feel like there's still a decent amount of issues. I feel like if the devs listen to the player base too much, they might kind of ruin the game. But who knows? I feel like a lot of people just need to take the time to learn the game before they give too drastic of complaints. The miniature ones I understand, but people are giving way too drastic complaints, and I hope the devs don't change it too much. But that's what it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.